Hey, Roadrunners! I'm Unsilent, and we're on the air with Outrun! From 1986, we're going to the arcade. Fortunately, it isn't going to cost us 25 cents or more a pop. One of the iconic racing games, not just iconic arcade games, it's one of the great racing games of all time, is Outrun. Designed by Yu Suzuki and developed by Sega's AM2 division. Yes, that's the same division now if you've been around here a while. I played Daytona USA, the arcade game, and they also designed that game, which is probably one of, if not the most famous, racing arcade games of all time. So another Sega arcade game. Let's get started. And we will... Oh, we get to pick our music. Right. So we have Magical Sound Shower, Passing Breeze, or Splash Wave. Magical Sound Shower. That sounds dirty, but it's not.
Get ready.
Alright, so here we go. Lights out. Away we go. I'm going to shift now. Into high gear, 2-speed gearbox. Of course, this console, this arcade cabinet came in a sit-down and stand-up version. I've only seen pictures on the internet of the sit-down version. It came with a seat, it came with a steering wheel, obviously, 2 pedals, a shifter to get you between low and high, the screen in front of you. Depending on whether you had the standard or deluxe model in your arcade, it was either a 20 or 26-inch CRT monitor that ran at 60 frames a second. No, I wrecked. But we're okay. One of the little design choices for Outrun was that you couldn't damage the car, you could wreck it, you could spin it out, there's a fork in the road, and you know what I do. Always go to the right. We'll just lean into it. Now, we're gonna lose out on our first go, come on. Oh, we're good. That was not pretty. That little chicane there in the first stage caught me off guard. Well, that was a little slicey-dicey there. There we go. Whew. Gotta hold your breath through some of these turns. Try and keep it from hitting one of the cars in the arse end. It's like you're driving... you know, like a Le Mans type game, because you're driving your Ferrari Testarossa, right? A Ferrari Testarossa Spider. I shouldn't say it the British way. I should say it more of the Ferrari Testarossa. I should say it the more properly Italian way. I'm sure that's going to get me some flack for not saying Italian. Now are we gonna make? Yep. With 3 seconds to spare. Now, in designing this game... Oh, we just hit the sign there. In designing this game, what Yu Suzuki did, the designer of the game, what he did was he hopped in a BMW and went on a 2-week road trip through Europe to see the sights. He was going to make a game based on the 1981 film Cannonball Run, which itself was based on an actual, not entirely legal or professional road racing event of the same name, or similar name. It's got a much longer name than Cannonball Run, but Cannonball Run, the movie, had damn near everyone in it. Burt Reynolds and Roger Moore. So you had Burt Reynolds and James Bond. Who'd have thunk? We're not gonna make it. I did not take that turn. I got hung up on the outside and I was just hanging on for dear life. We almost got to the fork in the road, I think, from the looks of it. So there's, 5 stages from the looks of it? Oh, Yu Suzuki's first one on the list. Right, so we can punch in our... We can punch in... oh god, if I knew the alphabet, this would go so much better. There we are. We always went right. That is sort of my thing if you've been around here for a while. Now we tried with Magical Sound Shower. Let's try with Passing Breeze this time.
Get ready.
Shift it into low and get on the line. The revs come up and we bring the noise! We started with our David Croft, then we went to Lee Diffie. Trying to remember, I guess it'd be Murray Walker Go 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 for the next start. But yeah, okay, so it's based on a 2-week road trip that designer Yu Suzuki took. Because he wanted to make one based on the Cannonball Run, but he wanted a little more of the environment variety. And this is where the chicane's coming. I saw through the handy signs. You want a little more of the environment variety that you get in Europe. Well, not that America really doesn't have a lot of variety. You know, Florida and California are, you know, different from each other. They might seem similar on the face of it, but they're different. And, you know, I live up near the Midwest. And I know the Midwest is, especially in winter, is pretty different than everything else. And I bet you that's different than the plains, and that's different than the deep south, like around the Mississippi. So there's probably a lot of variety there. I get, like, in terms of, like, architecture and cultural stuff like that, like, thousands of years of history in Europe is going to make all the architecture and very visibly different. But in terms of, I think, like, just the environment, I think you get probably just as much variety in America as you would in Europe. Oh, we slammed into the back of that 911 going to the right. Go by a couple bugs. Or were they all bugs? It's hard to tell the difference between a 911 and a Beetle. Before Porsche fans get on... I said, oh, yeah, we were always going to destined to hit that sign. Didn't slow down enough. I was going to say, the same Porsche fans who don't like Top Gear are probably going to yell at me for calling their beloved car Beetle. Oh, that went poorly. Alright. Yeah, this traffic's going to be a pain. This was the same thing as I just realized. I was going to say, this reminds me of the same thing I complained about in Need for Speed The Run. Which was, you know, a decidedly similar premise. Because that was an illegal cross-country road race as well. Held on to that one. But we've got to get to the next checkpoint in the next 10 seconds. And there we go. Got through that turn. We're going to get to the turn-off. But I don't think we're going to get to the checkpoint. No. It was a valiant effort, just not quite enough. It's going to say basically you're right. Ah, no, we weren't quite right on. Almost home. Now, we've done Magical Sound Shower, we've done Passing Breeze. Let's do Splash Wave as our song this time.
Get ready.
Bring up the revs and go, go, go for the Outrun Stage 1. I wonder if that was a speed limit sign. It's 75 in the middle median there, right? The sign for 75, and I assume that's speed limit 75. And I can't drive 55 because it only does 38. Although that reminds me of the how long I've been watching racing. I remember Napa, when Napa sponsored Michael Waltrip, because Michael was a great spokesman. You know, before the whole thing went down with the Michael Waltrip racing cars kind of rigging the intentionally spinning out. Was Boyer intentionally spun out his car, and that got what, MTJ into the chase that one year. Napa was very tightly tied with Michael Waltrip, and I remember one of their NASCAR ad campaigns was Michael and Sammy Hagar. I can't drive the 55 because that was the number that Michael was driving for the Napa car.
Hey, is that Sammy Hagar? Yeah, it is. He's singing about the number 55 Napa car. Yep, that's awesome.
Oh, that was a bad hit. Now, I don't know if we're going to be able to recover from that one. Because so far, you need to be pretty bang on if you want to. You got to be good at negotiating the traffic, and you've got to be good at driving. And we might be able to make this one, but so that's the problem with the checkpoint type racing, is that you'll lose a little time here. And come back around the left, so that'll lead us to our checkpoint. Is if you lose a little time earlier on, it compounds its way. I forgot about that turn, got very hard. Try and duck around traffic. One of the fortunate things, though, is it seems as though once the traffic is behind you, it ceases to exist. Not saying that's a bad thing, because it's certainly helpful. If we can't squeeze it down the middle, there we go. Taking a split second to check the clock, and we've got 22, about 20. And I don't know where we were, how we're doing for time relative to the last run. But I think we're pretty well. Oh, that spin's cost us. No, you can't recover from a big spin. You gotta. There. That went poorly. Yeah, if we were looking to look at the map, not near as far as we got the last time. I mean, it is what it is. And as we cross into stage 3, try and get to the inside, because this turn is the one that tightens up a lot on us. We're going to get through it without hitting anything this time. All right, that's how you want to. You prick. Cut me off. And I was in a good mood. I was having a good run. That's what happens when other drivers are inconsiderate. And that is why you guys have mirrors on your car. So that was me just trying to avoid a car. One of the problems with sort of the old low-res, sort of this type of driving perspective is it's kind of hard to always get a judge on where the other cars are, so I had a good feeling about stage 3, and then it started. Well, it is what it is. We're getting a little better with almost every run. See, because now we've gotten to the fork in the road, so it's a little better with every attempt. Just need to push a little harder. We're almost there.
Get ready.
Alright, this time I may not necessarily go off to the right every time. I'm going to go to whichever route is more easily accessible and has a clearer run for traffic. And this time we're going to the left. I'm going to be so confused now. Just clip the grass there. And we've already run into some different looking scenery. Come on. Get out of the way. Come on, blue flags. Holy crap. Talk about getting a little tunnel vision here. That else. Ah, that's neat. It's nice to get a little different perspective every now and then, don't you think? That one's cool. There we go. We'll just squeeze through that gap there. That was a slow turn there into this little tunnel. Well, I almost made it through that time. That's a lot tighter than those turns in the other track. And I'm assuming that's now... We're going to go back to the right a bit. We know it's going to come back to the left. And hopefully we'll have just... Yep. I'll pick up another 60 seconds. Looks like we've gone to the Holland portion of the show. They look like they could be tulips. Like I said. Oh no, windmills. Definitely Holland. Oh no, we're going agricultural. There we go. Now we're going to pick up a little bit of pace. Now we're going to pick up a little pace. Ah, no we aren't. We've run into the back of a truck. Stupid transports. This ain't Euro Truck Simulator. Which I don't play nearly enough of. Fun little game, though. I'd probably like it a lot more if I had, like, a proper steering wheel instead of a controller. I'm sure I've played it with a controller. It's perfectly fine with a controller. There's nothing wrong with it with a controller. They did a very good job with the... Oh, sorry, I'm supposed to shift. Well, I'm not going to make it anyway, so who cares? Now, this looks like something that would be a bit more American here. So, I've had more successful runs at racing games than this, but at the same time, it is an arcade game, and as we all know, arcade games are designed to eat quarters, so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. That's the trick, you know. It's they did release this on consoles because it's a Sega game. It got out on the home consoles. I think it was on Amiga and such, but as far as home consoles go, it was on the Sega Master System and the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive if you weren't in North America. Master System, which I don't think came out in North America at all, let alone under a different name. The Master System was the 8-bit version of the console. Meanwhile, the Genesis, that was the 16-bit. That one matched up against the SNES. So that's probably got to sound odd somewhere in the world. It's like somebody tuning in that's from England or whatnot, and it's like says, "Wait, you guys never had the Master System at all?" Because I'm sure they're used to like the. In my head, I'm like able to realize, you know, it's the translation. Somebody says Genesis or Mega Drive, and I realize, you know, those are the same, you know, same console, just under a different name. Well, that, like I said, it could have gone better. They moved when I was trying to change lanes. Oh well, it is what. That was terrible. I'll be back in a second. Right, so I was telling you about the home console versions, which were very well received. But still, the arcade version was the best received. It won the Golden Joystick Award for not only Best Arcade Game, but also Game of the Year. That's how beloved Outrun was, and nowadays you can still see it on, you know, lists of greatest racing games of all time, greatest games of all time. This ranked 4th on IGN's most influential racing games of all time. And part of the reason why I played it. I think I might have actually played it before. I was starting on that story about the local Chuck E. Cheese knockoff as we go off into the desert. And they had like about 4 arcade cabinets and a foosball table. And one of the cabinets, I don't know if it was Outrun. I honestly don't remember that well, and considering that the place has probably been closed for, 20 years, I doubt anyone else remembers either. But I remember it was one of those... It had one of those sit-down driving arcade cabinets. Might have been Outrun. It was a game... If it wasn't Outrun, it was an exceptionally similar game in look and style. But, like, out of the whole team, and there may be, 16 of us, only 2 of us were actually able to get past the first stage of that game. Another guy and me. Although the funny thing was, at that point in time, I had, messed up my ACL something fierce. So in order to get into the cabinet there, into the sit-down, the driving position, I had to take off, I had, a splint type thing strapped around my right knee to hold in place because my ACL it wasn't completely torn, but I couldn't walk with all my weight on it for 2 months, so I was probably a partial tear. It wasn't completely torn because I was getting better. I could put weight on it within the first week, but not much and not for very long. So I figure it was my I shouldn't say I figured. It was a professor acquaintance of mine who had a complete ACL tear, when my knee gimped out once, it's like, you screw up your ACL at some point in your life, Steve, and I said, well, I think so. Was it a complete tear? No, it was a partial tear. Because your knee doesn't randomly occasionally go out unless you've torn the ACL at some point. Oh, shoot, shift. Ah, well. After that spin, I don't think I was going to get anywhere. But hey, we got to stage 4. We're going back out of the desert and... Oh, well, game over. Hey, that was a good run, though. I was almost always going, it would have been the last stage too. Shoot, we'd gotten ending B. But I think on that note, I think we'll leave it there. I had fun with this. This game is, it's a lot of fun. It can be a little frustrating with all the traffic in the way, but I kind of like my racing to be a little, I don't mind fun little arcadey racing games like this, don't get me wrong, but I'd never make it as a sports car driver, getting being a prototype 1 driver in a field full of GT cars. Even though I'd be much more qualified to drive a GT car than getting anywhere near a prototype car. If you've ever seen me play Project Cars... no. Okay, we held on to it. Just. Out of the way! Pull off to the side, damn it. I think that's a good place for us to leave it with Outrun. A very good, very fun game. We're going to do a few more arcade games and other one-shot videos of retro racing games over the next few weeks. So keep your eyes on that, and you can do that by checking out the playlist in the description down below. The Retro Racing One-Shots is the series, and then some point in the next few weeks I will start a new Let's Play of a classic racing game. I'm thinking of something October themed, but we'll get into that. I'm working on, I am going to release shortly a sort of 100 subscriber vlog and channel update. And I'll talk about some of my plans for various series going forward there. But until I see you again for more Wide Open Wednesday, I'm Unsilent. Thanks very much for joining me. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you're new. Share on social media. Follow on social media. The social media handle is Unsilent on there, and that's for Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr. And don't forget you can check out more retro racing games in the playlist. It's on the screen in the description down below, and more videos anytime on the channel page. And until the next time, I'm Unsilent. Thanks very much for joining me. Like, share, subscribe, and we will see you next time.